Okay, welcome. Happy New Year. Healthy, prosperous for us all. Okay. So happy to be here. I am so looking forward to 2023. I just love the energy of this year, and I hope you've noticed it too. I was really surprised. Last week, I could experience time slowing down. Time was so slow and smooth last week. And I want you to text me or go to, excuse me, go to the chat room. Tell me if time slowed for you, because it's very auspicious that it did. 7, remember, 2023 is the 7 year. So we move slowly and smoothly. And 7 has that magnetic energy. So we don't have to push and assert and keep going and make the effort and stick with it and all those old rules. They're out the window. So it's a happy new year. And just watch when there will be pockets of time this year when time will slow down. And when those happen, when you notice them, you slow down, take advantage of it, because the universe, call it Earth, is giving you the opportunity to catch your breath, to slow down, to reevaluate things, and enjoy life. Remember, it's all about being in joy this year. So, having said that, I had a couple of really great questions come in this month. I was so pleased. The first one is from Dr. K. All right. And she was interested in the numerology. And she said this: I'm a 7 number, and I have a question. You mentioned that each number has some qualities of and builds upon the preceding numbers, even though each number has its own predominant aspects. This would mean that as a 7, I have some qualities of 1 through 6. I was curious as to whether each number also has qualities of the numbers after the 7, the 8 or 9. So could you please answer? Well, the answer is yes and no. Don't you love those answers? Here we are. For this talk, remember, we were discussing the personal years, and the personal year numbers tell you what the theme of your year is, where to focus. So it's very unique. It's very singular in that. But yes, you do have to incorporate what you've learned in the years 1 through 6. Now, here's the thing to remember. It's all inside you, 1 through 9 and infinity and beyond. So yes, all the numbers play with each other, but it's like you and I am me and you are you, and we interact and we create a synthesis and a synergy together. At the same time, we're ourselves, we're individuals. So it's the same with the numbers. You can apply it to numbers, people, or planets. So no, if you're in a 7 year, stay in the 7 year or stay in the 3 year, whatever year you are in personally. Don't jump ahead to what comes after. Your job is to integrate, incorporate the aspects of the 7 or of that particular energy field or vibration that is part of who you are and what you need to do in order to expand, in order to ignite, really. The exciting news is that if you opened my announcement for today, I said, this is an uptick. We're on an uptick. And an uptick is when there's a quantum shift in integrating who you are. Okay. And we are all about to, in 7, there's always an integration of putting things together. So think of it 1 through 6 as having all these puzzles on the table, puzzle pieces. And now you're going to put it together and see the picture in a 7-year. Okay, so thank you, Dr. K, and I love the question. Now, Miss L sent me a question that says, free will is another topic that has come up lately, which some people think we don't have, that we're just egos flailing, thinking we're making decisions when in fact we have no free will. I wondered if you might expound on that at some point. Well, here's the thing. Every moment you live, you're making a choice. As long as you're making a choice, you have free will. Now, there are certain experiences, situations, people that come into our lives that we don't seem to figure out why they're there, or did I really create this? I know there's that. That comes from your deep unconscious, the soul saying, lesson time, lesson time. So sometimes some of these challenging, difficult, nasty experiences we have doesn't feel like we have free will. I mean, we definitely wouldn't have chosen them consciously, right? But the soul has a vote. Remember, there's 4 levels of consciousness. There's conscious, left brain, there's subconscious, the projector, there's the emotional level, and then there's the unconscious. Well, soul, for me anyway, seems to hang out in the emotional unconscious, okay? So some of these not so fun experiences we have, we probably didn't vote for them. But you know what? Your higher self did. So I do believe in free will. I think every situation, every experience, whether it's individual or collective, we get to choose our response. We get to go with the flow or resist. So yes, I do believe in free will. And yes, I do think there are times when we flail around, trying to catch up with ourselves and trying to figure it all out. But by and large, we do have a vote on how we respond, what beliefs, what perspective we bring to the table of life. So that's how I see it. Every moment I have a choice. So do you. Let me think. I hope that answers the question. If you want more details, I'm here. You just have to speak up. But thank you, Miss L, for submitting it. I know you mentioned Carol and Meese and spiritual contracts. The spiritual contracts, just briefly, because that's a whole talk in itself. And it's also what I do through my numerology. But the general point is we all make contract with ourselves because we are all here to experience that spiritual aspect of ourselves that's in the body. And we get so enraptured and wrapped up with the body, we forget about the soul. But the soul is sitting there. It does have a contract. It has a contract with your purpose in life, but it also has contracts with every single person in your life. So I can have a great loving contract with one person, and then I can have another, I'm the mirror, and it's a more confrontive, in your face contract. And you may have a wonderful contract with that person, but have a totally disagreeable contract because you're learning, and we're all learning, and we're all evolving. And if you resist, it gets nastier. And if we just go with it and say, there's a lesson, this is in my highest and best good, the universe is my wingman. If we have that approach to life, then everything is a much smoother sailing. And this is one of the main lessons of the 7 universal year, okay, that is saying, okay, let's clean it up and get it together. Time to take it on the road, you know? So my third question is from me to you. How well, how easy, how comfortable was it for you to play, to enjoy, to take time out during the holidays? How was your recess? Because believe it or not, that was the ultimate lesson for the 6th year, was to learn how to choose and be comfortable with your choice and enjoy it. That's balance. That's what creates harmony. So if you found yourself having to push and being determined to get things done or do one more, step in your inner journey, whatever, maybe you weren't that comfortable just playing. And I want you to take a look at that, because play is equally important to work. During play, the imagination, the intuition is activated, and you can take it with you into your daily life. It's great energy. So I hope you all passed. I hope you all send me smiles in the chat room, said I did it. I had a great time, because now that we're in 2023, the first 2.5, 3 weeks of this month has the same energy. We're still in a very quiet, much quieter, more open, receptive, and introspective energy field. So I know everybody was raring to go and wanted to get off and running and get things done. You hold back, and just wait, okay? Things are going to really pick up the end of this month. And it's going to be whirlwind energy through April. So use this time to really get a lot of reserve energy in that root chakra and get your chakras balanced, because the energy, the time is going to take off. And this is the time to use to play and recharge. So those are my words of wisdom for that. So now we're in 2023. Let's backstep just for a minute. I want you to keep in mind, what was 2022 all about? How much, how well, how comfortable, or did you open your heart? How well are you letting the heart lead you? Are you still, though, in your left brain and organizing everything and structuring everything and trying to figure out if this is the right thing to do and will this work? That is all third dimensional function and process. This now, 2022, is trying to say, come on, activate your heart, get it into the process where you're doing something because you love doing it. And then you can let the head organize the rest of it. This is really, really important, because it represents your balancing your head-heart process also represents a deeper, higher vibration of the collective that's saying head or heart, old system, new system. And it's more just than head and heart. The old system is about centralization, authoritative power, separatism, competitiveness, and the new system is about oneness and wholeness, connecting, enjoying. So it's multi-levels. Remember, I think I brought up the 4 levels of consciousness back in September, and I said it very casually, but keep It's now activated. It's gone non-casual. It's serious now. 7 is going to take you through every level of consciousness, all 4 that you will operate from this year. So be patient, be loving, be gentle with yourselves, because it's a heck of a ride. It will be very challenging for those people who have not done any inner work, who have not taken a good look at themselves these last 3 years. It's going to be tougher. If you have made shifts in your energy, in your perspective, if you have released old thinking patterns that just didn't fit who you were, it's going to be much smoother. Okay. None of this is dire. This 7 is just tweaking your process. It's not a deep dive into the scuzzy. You can make it that way, but I don't recommend it. I really don't. So here, moving in, you found the balance between your head and your heart, your masculine and feminine. You're able to experience that quiet, that stillness, that peace, and without going spiritual on you. But that's the place of the zone. That's neutral. That is where all creativity begins, in neutral, because energy is neutral. All of it is neutral. It's what we bring to the table that creates the experience, that creates the dynamic. So 23 is about totals 5, which means choose, change, growth, evolution. 23 is the number of the healer. So this is a fantastic year we have to heal any residual emotional wounds or damage that may still be affecting you and blocking you from your meeting and stabilizing in your higher self. This is a golden moment, people. You are in the driver's seat. And the 8th of January, that 8 frequency, remember, 8 is power, 8 is authority. If you're in your heart and you believe in what you're doing or the path you're choosing to take, it will open up for you. Why? Because 7 is magnetic. 7 doesn't have to charge out. It's not an electrical energy. It takes in. So be good to yourselves. Please. My concern is that there are many people still who are just waiting around for something good to happen in the world out there so they can feel good and safe and secure within themselves. And remember, that's a 3rd dimensional pattern, habit, outlook. You've got to feel it in here. You've got to feel that peace, that love, that joy, whatever the higher case emotions, in order for you to experience in the outside world. And many people tell me, how can you detach so from, the immigration problem or the food shortage problem, the inflation, we all know all the issues going around the world. And it's not that I detach. I just don't get attached. And I look at it this way. I'm not into playing that game out there. I'm not into playing the government game or the judicial game or the scientific game of the men. I'm not there. So I am not going to put my time and energy into it. I'm going to bless those people. They have every right to choose it. And I'm just going to figure out how not to bring it into my life. I don't even bother with that. I just don't give it. If you don't give it any thought or energy, if you don't get into judging it, you won't get hooked into it. It's all right for those people to play that game as long as they keep it to themselves. And yes, of course, the issue is most of them don't. They want the whole world to succumb to their way of thinking and doing things. And I'm just what my sons have always called a quiet anarchist. I just go my own way. And I recommend it to you because it's only through each one of us individually making the steps to find that peace, to know our truth, to be happy within ourselves. That is how we change the collective. And that is how we make the world a more loving place to live in. It's done individual by individual, person by person. It is not a big sweep and a group effort. Eventually, it will become that. Okay? So I hate to rain on your parade if you're waiting for, the Republicans to win the presidency or the food to be showered down on you or whatever disrupts your personal power and your sense of self. The universe is moving on. The universe is moving up. And so things must change. And you must find, I must find the peace, the love that's within us to be able to navigate whatever external circumstances seem to be getting in our way. So step out of this third dimension, waiting for somebody to fix it or make it better for you. It's our task. And sometimes that's daunting. Yeah. Oh my. But this 7 universal year is a major turning point. Massive shifts are in the making, both with each of us individually, collectively, and in the global stage. Okay. So it's very important in a 7-year to realize, and particularly this year, that we are taking the final steps towards grounding and stabilizing in the wholeness, in the oneness, in the connection within. And what that really means, on more practical terms, look, each of us has to find the unity in diversity, the common elements in diversity. And where is it? It's in source, because we are all coming from the same energetic source. We just have free will, if you like, to express it however we choose. That is the human game down here. So 7 reminds us, find the connection with everybody. Find what you have in common with them. There'll be maybe one link. Find it and focus on it. We have spent too much time looking at the diversity, the differences, and judging them or feeling insecure or more secure by them. All that is just a mishigas and a waste of time. So we're in this 7. And what is 7 also saying? 7 is telling you, live from the inside out. Don't bring the outside in and then define yourself. Make a commitment to become a better version of yourself. Because here's the thing, at the end of the year, you won't know yourself. 7 has a wonderful way of scrambling us up and getting out the kinks and they tweak us. But your whole energy will be different by the end of the year. You will not know yourself, but you will. And it's such a happy time. It's so much fun when you get through the 7. The third thing 7 reminds you to do is to hold an appreciation. You notice that word, hold the appreciation for yourself and life, especially when things take a downturn. That's when you'll do your greatest growth quantum leap, it will be your greatest triumph with yourself to stay neutral. And last but not least, everything comes together in a 7-year. All the inner work you've done will just naturally, organically start falling into place, and you'll feel the energy shifts come slowly, slowly into place. And then all of a sudden, it just is, and you are. It's exciting. It really is. So let it be. Go with the flow. Just remember that with every situation, your belief, your perspective that you bring to it will energetically feed that moment. Remember, energy is neutral. So what you're bringing to the table with your emotions, with your mind, creates the experience. Isn't that fun? Remember what Descartes said. Nothing or no thing is either right or wrong. Thinking makes it so. So if I sound like a broken record, it's just because we have got to get it this year. And it's a glorious time to get it. Get ready. What we're getting ready is to strike a new path. You're all going to be creating a new path, a new direction, a new way of doing things with your life. So kiss the joy. Because if you don't, it won't be any fun. And it's on you. Okay? So now that you get a sense of 7, use the next week or two just to look back on the steps you took to get into the place where you are now. And then find and continue to find and develop the strength within so that you stand on your own living your truth. Because our future is not set. It's chaos out there. And this year is going to be more dramatic in terms of the corruption, the hidden lives, the secrets, the underhanded dealings of the power structures and institutions than ever before will come to life. So to create this loving, peaceful world that we're seeking, we have to become that loving, peaceful energy within in order to be able to deal with its counterpart that's surrounding us and all part of us. So unplug from third dimension this year. That's the name of the game. And we're very fortunate that we have that 8 energy that represents our power, our authority, our ability to believe in ourselves, our ability to manifest, to manage, direct. Tap into that energy towards the end of the month. You've got to get clear on who you are now, the changes you made last year, and what you want to do in terms of a new direction. So why am I talking so much about a new direction? Because we're moving into a new, I think it's epoch in human evolution. We have been living the Homo sapiens lead role, and that has been diminishing since 2012. But this year, and starting really at the equinox in March, things are really going to open up and blossom. And we are moving into the era of Homo luminous. So it's a really becoming more aware, waking up more and living our spiritual nature rather than the intellectual or the material or whatever else has been guiding and directing you. Homo luminous has arrived. And listen, it's like the merry-go-round, it's the gold ring. You want to be ready to grab it. And that is why, because of this very dramatic shift in the planet, in the cosmos, there's a new direction for you. There's a new path. There's a new purpose. Now, in one sense, it's not new. You may have had an inkling or you may have had a dream, but it's this time now that you will be put on the path. And I suggest you go happily and willingly. Choose it rather than get dragged into it, because you're needed and we've all got to make it. The thing about this 8 that we're in this month, it gives us the gumption, the moxie, the boldness, the bravado, the strength to start making shifts, to start, maybe it's just owning what you really want, what you've really been longing for, and what you really wish for. But what's for sure is it will give you the strength to let go of what's been keeping you from what you'd like to do, what you'd really like to do. And remember, that 8 is all about balance. We talked about that last month. The feminine, the masculine, the 2 circles. So, again, come from the heart, lead with the heart, back up with smart. Okay? But it's time for us to move on. And the 7 is saying, yep, it's time to live your truth. It's time to activate or develop more of that mystical, magical, magnetic part of you, because that's what's going to jumpstart you, allow you to take off. That is the 7 energy. And 7 is the number of wisdom that combines intellect and intuition, and that is whole and complete within itself. And 7, though, has to learn to stand on its own, to be its own person, to believe in itself. So you are willing to go it alone or be alone or let go. 7 is spiritual. Spiritual is abstract. It's a process. It's energy. And energy that says what? It's neutral, remember. So the biggest lesson probably for each one of us to tweak this year, and we can start this month, is to stop personalizing and internalizing your experiences, whether they're with people, places, or situations. And that means stop judging, because we all know judging is based in the ego, and the ego is created from our doubts and fears. It creates a persona that we can pretend we're all okay, but we don't really believe it. 7 is going to say, know it. Know the truth of who you are. Be willing to know who you are. Be willing to live that truth. And that's what it's going to do. So deep breathe. It's really it's a great process once we get through it. I know you've heard me say that last year, which was my 7 personal year, was one of the toughest of my life. But that's only because I had a lot to clean up. You guys probably don't have as much to clean up as I did, but I went to every level: physical, mental, emotional, and then there was an alignment with spirit, and then there was an alignment with my path. It all unfolds once you get your alignment, let's just say, updated. Okay, 7 is going to update you, and 8 is going to give you the energy, the willingness, even the enthusiasm to go for it. So take advantage of this energy. It really is spectacular stuff. And those are the numbers. But if we look at the astrology of things, those higher consciousness planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, they are all working for us. They are all calling us. And if you call on them, they'll be there and they can help you with your uptick on getting it together, taking it on the road. When I look at 2022 and the changes I've made, this voice came in. I'm quite sure it was handing out because, D5 would have knocked me across the room with it. It says, kiss the joy and don't look back. 7 says is a completion, right? 7 days, 7, how many times we use 7, it completes things. And now it's saying, don't let your history define you. Focus on what's new. Focus on what's in your future, what you would like in your future. It's not about going over, well, this happened to me and that happened to me. And I have the life experience that says, it's not going to work out for me. Well, it's not going to work out for you in the past because that's what you believe. Let it go. Let the sun shine in your life. Okay. It's not easy. I'm the first one to say it. But when we make these internal shifts in ourselves, by letting go of the past, by not letting the history define us, by not, judging how someone's behaving either in the world or towards us, when we skip all that, we are fundamentally in our core, in our essence, and dramatically changing our energy field and ourselves. And that's when it gets maybe a little hard, because the relationships you've had with people, the work you've been doing, your health, you get out of sync with all those people, places, and situations that aren't supportive of you, that can't see what has been happening to you and where you've evolved. And we have to let them go with love. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the contract. I'm done. I love you, but we aren't in sync. And that's really all it is. We aren't in sync. Yeah. So that's really how we unplug from 3D. This is how we get into the new age, or as I like to call it, Homo luminous. It's here, it's coming, it's exciting. So what I also want to do is, have I grounded you enough in yourself? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. It's a very agreeable audience I have, very agreeable. But I want to just quickly review some of the world events that will be going on, because those are going to come up and you get to choose whether you get upset and irate and polarized over it, or whether you hide your head in the sand. You get to choose. What are you going to do? How are you going to hold your center? Okay. So politics, economy, the weather are all going to give us quite a tussle this year. The basics in our life, as we've created life, are extremely unstable and extremely volatile this year, because it's time for them to be dissolved. Okay? Because most of our institutions, when you think about it, were based on fear and intimidation. And there's no room for that in fourth dimension, or let alone fifth and beyond. It just doesn't exist. So weather, for instance, I've already talked to you about severe flooding everywhere. This is ongoing. The earthquakes Earthquakes are going to be like opening the door and going across the street. They're going to happen around the world every other minute because the plates have shifted, because the pole has shifted a bit, because the veils surrounding our Earth dimension and spatial cosmic dimension are lifting. So we get more direct hits now until everyone sort of gets used to and can create used to each other and create a rhythm that we can understand. So it's grisly weather-wise. It's not going to be easy for lots of people. When it comes to the economy, I would just say this is probably the most upside down arena in our life. It's time, I would say, get out of crypto. It will make a comeback, but there'll only be a couple of them that will make a comeback if you're there. If I were going to invest, I'd invest in oil. I would invest in precious metals, and I would invest in the land. And I think the land has something to do with being able to grow food, to be able to provide the basics for yourself. It's a totally different approach to the land than we've had. So there's that. Politics, oh, whoopee, what a ride, especially in the US. I think we're going to still see Trump very active. I think we're going to see DeSantis and Trump go at it like we've never seen two politicians go at it. Actually, at this moment in time, but remember the future is not set, but at this point in time, I think there'll be a woman who comes in and will be supporting Trump, and he will have a woman VP on the ticket. And it will balance out that way. We have not seen the last of Donald Trump, no matter how hard we try, or the CIA or the Justice Department or anyone else. I'm not in favor of the man and his way of doing things and his way of speaking, but he is very strong and clear on what he wants for this country. And he loves this country, and he's willing to buck the system that does not like nationalism. So you have to take it. It's not easy. I don't think Biden will run again. I still am expecting Biden to step down. We'll have Kamala in there for a very short period of time. And then I think we'll have a whole new slate on the Democratic ticket. I'm just wondering where Elon Musk is going to turn up. If he's going to try to be a Republican or an independent third party person. He's too cross at the Dems right now, but that can change. It's politics. So I guess my point in all this is, if you're looking for something to feel good about and you go outside to the world outside, it's going to be pretty tough to find it. And it's set up that way because you're supposed to find it in here and feel good in here about you and living who you are. I think perhaps the most dramatic shifts we're going to see is in the field of science. And I mean that in every level. I read a wonderful article in The Atlantic, must have been back in September. And I thought I brought it, but it's here in the piles of stuff somewhere. But it was an article on a family. The mother and father were both in science, both in bioresearch, both into the theories and healing and so forth. And what happened was their 5-year-old daughter was swinging on their swing, and the branch of the tree that the swing was attached to fell on her and caused really serious and grim neurological injuries and impairment. And the whole article was about their quest for finding a way to help her, to heal her, to let her walk again, to let her talk again, to let her move again. And they went through, I think, every protocol they knew, and then they invented something, but they were tuned in. This was their field. And it was very interesting to me that the last paragraph of this article, he said, what we learned was that science must become more personal. We must look at the person, at the people. So many, I think, of the protocols they tried were too much for a 5, 6, 7-year-old girl, you know. And I thought that's remarkable, because that is what needs to happen. We need to look at the person. We need to look at whether they're little or aged or in between. It's about the people. And this is the movement. This is why it's becoming Homo luminous. We're here to help each other find and express the light. And we can't do that if we're just sticking to theory or sticking to the numbers or sticking to that linear, logical approach that really doesn't do us a whole lot of good. So there'll be that shift we'll see in science. There was an announcement, I guess a month ago. I can't keep track of time, so please don't ask me. And it was an announcement that some physics scientists have found a way to fuse physics to create, rather than have them charge at each other and explode. It's now they're working on fusion, which I thought was really interesting, given that the fourth dimension is about connection and fusion and coming together. And they thought it would take about 10, 20 years before we'll see any results of this fusion physics and what it can do in terms of creating energy and new life. But I somehow think it will be a shorter time than that. But again, science is shifting. The science of archaeology is going to perhaps be most dramatic. We will see some of the temples from Atlantis rise up in the Caribbean. We will get a sense of our history goes back 12 to 15,000 years, not the 4,500 to 6,000 years we've been taught. There will be another Sphinx discovered or unearthed in Egypt. And in the old days, old times, lions were always put as two, masculine and feminine. So what's the importance of that? If the other Sphinx is found, even if it's in disrepair, we are bringing balance of masculine, feminine back. You see, my opinion, the Sphinx in front of the Great Pyramid was originally a feminine lion. When I was in Egypt and in the Cairo Museum, there were lots of lionesses sculpted and presented. Always the lioness, not the good guy, with the mane and everything. It was the feminine lion. And because in the original days of Zed Tepi, it was the feminine that was always exalted. So what difference does all this make? I think it's going to have a couple of really deep ramifications on our psyche collectively, because, we've been taught, well, we have 6,000 years and we were all hunters. And then all of a sudden you became gatherers and agriculturists. And it was all kind of for me, it was a very sloppy evolutionary explanation we heard. What if we existed 12,000 years ago? What if we were able to do what we did? I think that gives us a greater sense of self, of the human potential. And I think that's why the political, religious structures, that institutions that we have in our world have kept it down to, well, you're only 6,000 years old. Your beginnings. This is newbie stuff. We aren't. We are really exalted people. We are part of Lemuria. We are part of Atlantis, that we're highly evolved. And yes, naughty. Okay. Seems to be part of the human condition of the evolutionary lesson. But just think how much, I don't know. When I think, okay, we were able to do this, we were able to create, we've existed for 12,500 years. There are wonderful megaliths, there are wonderful stories to learn. It gives me a much greater sense of self. And what does it do to religion? What does it do to governments who want to tell us what to think and do? So I think that's the value in realizing we're much older, we're much wiser, we're much more clever than we ever thought. And maybe we did learn a lot of it from some other planet or some other star or some other godlike being. So what? We learned it. We all have to learn from someone, no big deal. So I think people will hold their head up a little higher and believe they can think for themselves, because education certainly has reduced itself to telling the young what to think, not how to think. We've lost our judicial system. It's been bought out. We really only have two branches of government that are working now, the executive and the legislative. Because we all pretty much know that if you have money, there's ways to take care of your case. We also know that many of the judicial men and women were chosen for their political views and not their knowledge of the law. So all this is, trust me, is coming up this year. There'll be more and deeper scandals. We've only touched on it. Remember, 7 goes deep. It doesn't let us get away with a thing. That's why we can end up so squeaky clean at the end of the year, because we've had to really go to the corners. 7 insists on it. Think of 7 as Scorpio, deep down there, really getting to the truth of who you are and getting each of us to recognize that truth as a beam, a bright light that carries a lot of love and joy with it when it chooses to activate it, when we choose to activate it. So it's our game, our planet, our time. And I think that's pretty exciting. I really think it's exciting. So I think that's it. Are there any questions, Roxy? No questions. Okay. Any questions out there? I got 2 thumbs up, so no questions. All right. Let's see if anyone wants to say hello. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Okay. I only have one question for you, my dear people. You are made of light, love, and joy. Why is it so difficult for you people to love when really in your heart of hearts, that's what you're seeking? So I'd like an answer. Why are you making it so difficult for yourself? There are no more excuses. There are no more stories for you to tell to justify the lack of love you give, you receive in your life. Time to open. Time to accept. Time to reach out And this is the year. Make a commitment to opening your heart and moving beyond the boundaries you have set for yourself. You are needed in the world. You are needed in the cosmos. Your thinking, your energy, your love ripples throughout the cosmos, ripples throughout the galaxy. So please, really sit with yourself and ask yourself, why is it so difficult to love when that is who I really am and what I'm all about? So please give it some thought. Well, he was kind of nice, wasn't he? He's mellowing, I think, in his age. Either that or he knows I won't pay any attention to him. He just comes in and talks to me all the time. So I think that's it. Honey Elle just seems to be off somewhere. She's not going to join us tonight. So in closing out, I just want to say, just let yourselves love. That's really what 7 is about. Yes, it's wisdom. It's the heart of the matter. It's the light that you are. And remember, you are love. That is the core energy in your being. It is the core energy that flows through you in your blood, head to toe. And it's time that we just let all the stories go and say, it's all about love. Everything else is incidental. And I thank you for joining me tonight. It's been fun. And these are my 2 angels left over from Christmas, but I can't bear to put them away. So you'll perhaps be seeing them throughout the whole year. But they serve to remind me, balance, head, heart, be a full heart, and express from your heart. Okay, I love you all. Take care, stay well, and I'll see you on Monday, February 6th next month. We're meeting the first Monday of every month now, simply because I think it will give you more time to play with whatever I've had to say. Take what resonates, leave the other on the shelf, but just keep that heart open. Okay? Take care. God bless, and thank you.